Hello, hello. I'm Upgrade Ninja or Downgrade Samurai, and welcome to the first year of WeaselClan. My attempt at the Clan Jam Challenge, where you make a clan in, Clan Jam, which is a Warrior Cats fan game. For the challenge, you play a year or 12 moons as it's referred to in game. Then you draw your cats at the very end and see how they progressed. Before we dive in, there's two things I want to address. First, I want to give a shout out to WeaselClan, made by No Arts. Them and their series are my biggest inspirations for doing this. I love watching that series. I'll link their channel and ClanGen down below. Now, secondly, let's dive into the lore real quick. Not too long ago, there were three massive clans: Moose Clan, Badger Clan, and our clan, Weasel Clan. Weasel Clan used to be much larger, 3 times the size it is now. The clan was led by an old deputy, Chima's Feather, an adventurous, skilled mediator, and Silent Star, an absolutely bloodthirsty leader. Side note, technically Silent Star isn't in my game, but I've added him in for lore purposes. Silent Star was one to pick a fight. He constantly went to war with other clans, apprenticed kits early, and pressured clanmates to have more kits turn into warriors. At one point, he tried to exile a young she-cat for not wanting a mate or kits, which led Chima's Feather having to step in to save the poor cat. Most cats in the clan hated Silent Star due to all this. They endured his abuse because it's in the warrior's code to follow the leader, and because Silent Star was on his way to his last life, and very old. Like 200 moons old, Bam was basically a raisin. The clan expected him to pass soon, and Chima's Feather would take over as leader, or the new leader would be chosen. Despite every cat's hope, Chima's Feather kicked the bucket and fucking died before Silent Star. So Chima's Feather was replaced by Silent Star's son, who for most of his life remained in the background without getting too close to anyone. Due to his bloodline, this caused severe unrest as no one knew how Twilight Buzz would act, which put every cat on edge. Twilight, on the other hand, well, Pa, was caught in between impressing his distant father and serving the clan. He ended up choosing his father's side, not wanting to catch his wrath, but the downside of this choice was that now he's basically confirmed in other cats' minds that Twilight Buzz is basically a younger version of Silent Star, like a flat-out copy and paste. Things came to a boiling point when the Queens protested Silent Star's apprenticeship of kits at an early age. Silent Star didn't like this and banished them all. These queens, now forced from their own home, were lost and unsure what to do. They clashed with other clans to the point where they weren't welcome, and they didn't want to give up clan life. So the queens, along with some of their kits, wandered around looking for a sign from StarClan, until one stormy night they took shelter in a ship. Once the cats settled in, a group of StarClan cats trotted down from above and entered the boat, where they walked over the hush chase and gave her 9 lives and told the group that this was their home now, and thus Eel Clan was formed. The eviction of the queens and the formation of Eel Clan caused another split, further dividing Weasel Clan. As Silent Star refused to change, this time these cats left with the goal of meeting up with Eel Clan. However, Rainbow Beak, the bloodthirsty she-cat, killed Tigerheart, who technically was the leader of the group for just a moon. Rainbow Beak managed this with the help of another warrior, Shaded Stripe, who helped convince the group that this was a sign from StarClan to not go any further in the dense forest covered in spiderwebs, thus leading to the formation of Spider Clan. Because of how many cats ended up leaving Weasel Clan is now a shell of its former self and more vulnerable than ever. The remaining cats are both scared and hopeful for what's to come, and there you have it, the gist of the lore. The rest of the story will be discussed in character segments and future plot developments. First up, we have Twilight Star, the 114-moon-old tomcat, who currently has all his lives and is both bloodthirsty and a good teacher. Throughout his life, Twilight Star struggled to interact with others due to his bloodline, in particular scaring most away. For most of his life, he did his work as a warrior and kept to himself, not bothering others. He never really wanted more, so when he became deputy, it surprised him, and while he didn't want to give up his more lonesome lifestyle, he didn't want to anger his father. Since I've roughly gone over his deputy days, I'm just going to slip closer to the present. Twilight Star came into power right after the formation of Spider Clan. Although he had to murder his own father, the reason for this is that Twilight knew the rest of the clan wouldn't stick together and his father was set in his ways. So he had to make a choice, and quickly, as he heard the whispers of a potential split. Still praying to StarClan for a peaceful resolution, he tried talking to his father and then later said in the dead of the night. Being polite as he could muster, Twilight Star confronted his father about his tyrannical behavior, but it led to his father immediately disowning and disowning Twilight. With no options left, Twilight attacked his father, chasing him out into the clearing where he made quick work of the old Tom. 3 other cats saw this happen, 2 of them accepting it. The last one, however, is rather disturbed, but is keeping his mouth shut for now. Once Twilight Star became leader, his first announcement was that things would be different, and thus the year begins. Let's just say things are rough here for our boy. Throughout the year, Twilight Star was all over the place, first eavesdropping on his then apprentice Dust Freckle, then another cat named Honey Ember. he's very paranoid about the rest of his clan finding out about his murder. Sure, it was for the better, but it's still not a good look. He fears his clan rising up against them, or there being another split. It's constantly on his mind. During the year, he made vows to his clan to serve him as best as possible as he could, to keep the few who remain united. But all of his life, he's been in and off again war. So what you may think is normal and for the better is not, such as declaring war on Badger Clan, which is the last thing he should do with his few cats. Thankfully, the war ended before anything happened. I assumed it was less of a war and more of a high tension along the border. Twilight Star felt blessed by Star Clan after coming to his senses on how bad things could have been at the end of the year. I think he's beginning to get better at leading. For example, he had a deep conversation with his apprentice Duskripple before he became a warrior, and is close with him. Perhaps he's better with cats one-on-one than leading cats in a big group, because he seems to really enjoy mentoring. He also made close friends with another cat named WeaselClan, a strict cat that seems to have similar problems of expressing his emotions. So maybe there's a cold heart under that exterior. However, that doesn't matter much to cats like Trickle Shadow, a senior warrior who actually challenged Twilight Star for several other reasons. Cats like Trickle Shadow and Sneeze Whisker seem to have it out for our leader to the point Twilight Star punished one of the cats. With our special little star out of the way, here we have Sneeze Whisker, our deputy. He's a 90-moon-old adventurous Tommy who excels at teaching. Now for the reveal. Sneeze Whisker is one of the cats who witnessed Twilight killing Silent Star. As they were returning home from a late-night patrol, he was horrified, even though he hadn't been fond of Silent Star. Witnessing the murder shook him. Twilight Star, realizing that Sneeze Whisker might reveal what happened, had a brief conversation with him. He told him Silent Star's death was ultimately for the better, as the old time was tearing the clan apart. Then, as a method of hushing him, he offered Sneeze Whisker the position of deputy, as Sneeze Whisker had been well known to take up difficult jobs in the clan, so a tougher position would suit him. Nervous about what would happen if he turned down the offer, Sneeze accepted the position. Throughout the year, he grew accustomed to his power and has grown more bold to the point he became argumentative with Twilight Star, because they do not like each other. Both of them have a dislike for one another. Twilight Star still has to watch his back around him, with Sneeze going as far as the Black Knight Twilight to keep the position, despite the fact that Sneeze is doing a rather bad job. Sneeze is both stressed and more focused on how he appears to the clan, rather than how he's doing as deputy, and with him mostly wondering about how other cats are thinking of him. But on the last moon, he seemed to finally be confident, so he's getting the hang of leadership as well. And maybe if they stop fighting, Sneeze and Twilight can both bond over that, but that may be wishful thinking. Also, funny side note, Sneeze got the status choking on his prey twice. Little guy needs to chew more. He's also a small lad, as you can see, but he likes to use that to his advantage, healing and sneaky blows. I'd like to mention a couple things. I'm trying to give these drawings more stylized touch than my usual work, so if you notice some slight variation in style, I actually have to redo several sketches. Additionally, I'm quite particular about names. If a name doesn't make sense or is too similar to another cat's name without a good reason, I'll change it. For instance, Sneeze Whisker's name used to be Tawny Bracken, but I decided to make the change, as we already have Tawny and it couldn't come up with a prefix for Bracken. Now let's discuss a fascinating character. Tawny Dusk, a non-binary medicine cat who is 120 moons old. They're a bit unusual, often caught in a dazed state, but despite that, they excel as a med cat. And herbs and healing is their favorite thing. It's like their hyperfixation. When a warrior is hurt, they can't help but rush over and start their work. They find the most peace when working with herbs and can keep a cool head in a serious situation, which sometimes makes others view them as cold. Tawny Dusk doesn't mind this. It means fewer cats to deal with. Tawny Dusk was one of the cats who witnessed what Silent Star did. They walked up to Twilight Star and murmured, "It seems like our leader is now walking among the stars," which means your leader now. Tawny never liked Silent Star. The only reason they didn't leave the clan was that they were the only med cat left. If they left, the rest of the cats would suffer, and they couldn't do that to the others. So Tawny Dusk saw Silent Star's murder as nothing but beneficial, regardless of who did it. I also imagine Tawny Dusk as a very large cat who couldn't become a warrior, but chose the med cat route. They also had a mutual crush on a warrior named Trickle Shadow, but it quickly fell apart due to an argument. Tawny Dusk is also fond of Goldpaw, a fellow medcat's kit. Goldpaw, as a kit, was quite attached to their father, leading them to spend a lot of time in the med den, which led to the frequent interactions with Tawny Dusk. which is very cute. However, there are some concerns as Tawny Dust has contracted red cough. It's not only deadly but potentially contagious, and I hope Tawny Dust can pull through somehow. Whistletooth is a healer we managed to convince us to join. He's a 68 moon mint cat who, despite his insecurities, is an excellent teacher. He's skillful but constantly doubts himself, which leads to him making mistakes out of fear, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. He joined with 2 kits in the 10th moon, so I don't have much more information on him. However, he seems to take a liking to Tawny, relying on them to get adjusted to the plan, leading him to respecting the strange cat who can't help but give him tips on better healing for patients. Whistletooth also stumbled upon a dead queen and her kits during a herd gathering patrol. It really seems to shake him up. I think it's because he was a loner with kits, so he could easily see himself in that cat. The following moon he expressed doubts about deserving his full name due to the distress the scene caused him, as he's a very empathetic cat and can't help but be easily swayed to the emotions around him. Also, fun fact, his name was Shaletooth, which didn't sit well with me, so I decided to make a change. And he's also my favorite design out of the bunch. As for where Whistletooth came from, he originally came from another clan, Badger Clan. But he was evicted after breaking the no-kit med rule for menacing cats. After that, Whistletooth needed protection for him and his kids, as Whistletooth is not a fighter. So I decided to go to WeaselClan as he knew they were in need of cats. Any and all cats. However, just because he was needed doesn't mean some cats don't disapprove of him having kids. Next up, we have Thistlespore, a formidable 66-moon-old tomcat. He's strict and a strong fighter. Throughout the year, he exhibited a somewhat bossy demeanor, such as making sure everyone takes one piece of prey and chastening cats for no good reason. So he needs to take things down a notch, but his intentions are good. He was Spotted Spot's mentor for only 1 moon, but that didn't stop him from trying to be Spotted's dad, basically, training him and trying to be an good example for him. And even eavesdropping on Spotted, which is a little odd to me, but Spotted doesn't seem to mind at all. And he doesn't have any parents, so he appreciates Thistle's scare. Funny side note, Thistle has a bit of dislike for one of Spotted's crushes, Honey Ember, and was thinking about Prickle Mouse, Spotted's other crush, on the last moon, so he really is a dad. Thistlespore also wanted to become deputy initially. He attempted to get closer to Twilight Star for the position, but it's clear he genuinely likes Twilight Star now. Their platonic love for each other is high, and I can't help but find it cute how these 2 cats with rough exteriors and soft sides have become best friends. Thistle is also one of the cats who's not so approving of Whistletooth, and for now is keeping an eye on him. Thistlespore's design had a similar challenge to Twilight Star's and Sneeze Whiskers. I wasn't satisfied with the face of the original pose, so I underwent several revisions. Ultimately, I decided to completely redraw him, and I'm really pleased with how he came out. But this is Thistlespore, and I love to see him. Can't wait to see more of this dude. Now let's shift our focus to Honey Ember, previously known as Grouse Egg, which I must say really groused me out. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Or well, until the video stops recording. Anyways, Honey Ember is a 35-moon-old tomcat. He's faithful and an excellent teacher, which is a trait I disagree with, and we'll get into why in a bit. Honey Ember tends to listen to Twilight Star only because of his devotion to StarClan and the Warrior Code, making him more inclined to stand by Twilight Star and support his rule. As how can Scar Clan support him if he's really such a bad cat? So he fought alongside Twilight Star when another clan cat challenged the leader, resulting in the scar on his nose. After that, he did like Twilight a bit less, but is still loyal to him. I like to envision him as a laid-back spiritual surfer dude because he's mainly thinking about StarClan. He also left prey at a loved one's grave, but only Chima's feather is in StarClan, so maybe there's some relation to another or something. I also will note he may be able to pick up on whether or not something bad is about to happen, because the day his apprentice Emerald Paw was taken, he felt gloomy the next moon, which he may have had a StarClan vision, as Sneeze Whisker pulled him aside during patrol. Since he had that vision, he has no fears about Emerald Paw. He just knew she was going to come back whenever the time was, and has just been thinking of StarClan and male cats his age. The only time he thought of her was at the end of the year, so I don't think he's actually a good teacher, but pretends to be one. He's also been a bit of a romantic disaster, developing crushes on Spotted Spots, Dust Freckle, and Weedheart. He likes a fall for any male cat his age, with his main crush being Spotted Spots. But as of now, there are no official couples in sight, but perhaps one of the Honey Ember's crush will take off soon. Spotted Spots, whose name I must say is perfect, no changes with that one. He's an ambitious 22 moon old cat and a skilled fighter. He hasn't had much ambitions to do things like normally ambitious cats. Most of them have statuses like they want to be deputy, but Spotted's never had that. So I'm going to say he's counting on his mentor Thistlespore becoming leader and giving him the deputy role since Sneeze Whisker isn't doing a good job in his eyes. It is going to replace anytime. He is always relaxed, almost lazy, doing stuff like staring off into space or napping. If views a deputy role as his, plain and simple. But when needed, he can be a good warrior, for example asking Twilight what he can do around the camp and improving his moves. All around, he's a nice guy and even helped a Gold Kit by picking out birds from the little guy's fur. Spotted is a bit of a romantic disaster himself, not to the degree of Honey Ember, so he's more of a romantic mess. For example, Spotted had an interaction with Honey Ember where they found themselves stuck in a tree, leading to a deeper connection. After that, Spotted also met a loner named Prickle Mouse, whom they invited to join the clan. He sneaked into Prickle Mouse's nest shortly after she joined, developing a crush on her, although she just sees him as a friend. But that's pretty much it for our boy, though. I gotta say, I love his long tail. I added it to his design, finding it way too cute to not do it. And if Spotted was a human, he'd be an emo gamer boy, but the cool kind, not the subtly creepy that makes you believe the internet was a mistake kind. Now, I accidentally wrote my script a bit out of order, so now we have Prickle Mouse, and I have to say, I do not like this design. I like the cat, not the design. I can't stand looking at her, but trudging past my disappointment, this is Prickle Mouse. She joined the clan on the 8th moon, and she's a daring 62 moon old she-cat and an adept climber. She was constantly seeking adventure before joining the clan. Honey Ember and Spot Spots invited her to join, and she's built a good relationship with both of them. She sees them as younger siblings, their romantic interests, and has no romantic like to either of them, which is good. She does prefer Spotted Spots more, though, and allowed him to snuggle up with her. As of now, she hasn't done much, but I look forward to her. Out of all the designs, she's the one I like the least. Something about her does not sit right. I think it has to be the face. Something about it looks smushed. Like, what is this shit? Anyways, on to the next cat. Here's Weedheart. Putting the beautiful name aside, Weedheart is a 22 moon old male cat who is wise and a formidable fighter. He served as an apprentice to Trickle Shadow before Trickle went missing. Despite their less than ideal relationship, Weedheart looked up to his mentor, driving him to be the best warrior he could to impress him. However, his mentor did not like him back and has little dislike to him, which led to Weedheart having a really strange and hard time training and having strange dreams. This has led to him trying to be the cat he wants his mentor to be. The very moon he got to become a warrior, he was trying to instill wisdom in the apprentices. And when he got his own apprentice, he was a bit harsh on them, dismissing their dreams, trying to push them constantly. So I think Weedheart could use a mediator. He is also pushing his apprentice so hard because his apprentice is Whistletooth's Kit. Weedheart won't say anything outright, but he's not approving of it, so he's really trying to hammer in the rules into his apprentice. Fun fact, Twilight was intimidated by Weedheart's knowledge during his warrior ceremony, and named him for his insight, which makes me think that Twilight is a bit cowardly or all-around paranoid. I mean, man's looked down on what could be his great-grandson and thought, wow, it's scary. Other than that, Weedheart gets along well with all the cats around his age, forming a close bond with a cat named Emerald Lake, and is close friends with Spotted Spots. Now moving on to Emerald Lake, who is the only female founder. She is 19 moons old and a thoughtful, eloquent speaker. Emerald Lake was once a fierce apprentice under Honey Ember, but she was trapped in a two-leg trap on one of her first patrols on Moon 2. She was absent until Moon 10, where she immediately became a warrior. Her ceremony, however, is the opposite of Weedheart's. She put down moss for Twilight Star to sit on during the ceremony, which Twilight Star appreciated. Emerald Lake was named in recognition of her initiative. She's now like that mom friend that's on top of everything in the friend group. Having been absent for a significant portion of her life, Emerald Lake feels somewhat isolated. Given the many newcomers and her personal transformation, she's finding it challenging to reconnect, not helped by the fact she's pregnant on the last month to some mystery cat, but she's trying her hardest and even has deputy goals on the last moon. She doesn't hold any ill will towards Honey Ember for losing her, but yeah, so you go girl. I will note that I have both unmated offspring on, so cats can have kids with unknown parents for right now, but only if it makes sense for that cat. I also have same-sex pairings on, because I'll just say they'll have a surrogate similar to WeaselClan, and yeah. Twilight Star, noticing Emerald Lake's struggle, decided to assign her an apprentice, hoping it'd help her adjust to clan life. But given how low her experience is and the fact that Snee Whisker never had an apprentice, it might not have been the best choice, but perhaps she'll surprise everyone. This is Duskfreckle, and the most interesting about him is for a long ass while he went by Duskfreckle, before I noticed that his name broke my rules, which I'm happy about because Dust is easier to say than Dusk. Weird unneeded production facts aside, Duskfreckle is an 18-moon-old male who is fierce and a skilled hunter. He initially started out a bit shy and adventurous, even daydreaming about a mate and kids. However, under Twilight's mentorship, he transformed into a fierce warrior, constantly thinking about fights and even daring to consider soloing badgers and dogs. Mance has a straight up death wish, I swear. Twilight was a good mentor, training him up and taking things seriously, but he unknowingly helped cultivate Duskfreckle's obsession with combat. After the two of them shadowed a large dog on their patrol. It's also worth noting that Dust and Weed both share a good relationship, despite Dust's inclination towards rowdiness. He's like that blunt friend, and Spotted Spot does not appreciate it, and they dislike each other. Despite the moon and the age difference, I thought it'd be cute to have Dust and Emerald be siblings. My main reason is I think it's cute how Emerald Lake went from thoughtful and Dusk went to fierce. So yeah, they're siblings, or maybe half siblings. Up next, we have a fierce 7-moon-old Crooked Paw. She's a transgender girl and one of Whistletooth's kits. I like to think that she was named Crooked because of her spots and not any physical deformities, which is how I'll be handling any names like this in the future. Crooked Paw is going through a bit of an angsty phase, which may be one of the reasons why Twilight paired her with Emerald Lake, hoping she can assist in the apprentices. Crooked Paw joined the clan. She was merely 4 moons old. She was an impulsive quick to make peace and pass judgment on others. It appears that trait carried into her apprentice phase as well, where she judges cats quickly, but is also quick to change her views, as she's trying to figure out where she stands on her own morals and her place as a cat with the blood outside the clan. All in all, she gives me main character energy, especially with her heterochromia, and I'm eagerly looking forward to seeing where her story leads. Though with the Emerald Lake pregnant, her training might slow down a bit. Goldpaw, I like little mans. He got little pants, and he's perfect. I made him look like such an innocent, sweet boy, and I don't know why, but I just did it, and it worked so well. Goldpaw was originally named Oriole Kit and is 7 moons old and a faithful male. He's apprenticed to Weedheart, who is working hard to shape Goldpaw into an ideal warrior, sometimes pushing Goldpaw way too hard and showering him in attention as Weedheart is still hurt from Trickle Shadow's indifference to him. Honey Ember also eavesdropping on him, and I think Honey Ember asked Goldpaw to be Goldpaw's mentor in private to Twilight Star as a do-over apprentice, as Emerald Lake won't count for deputy position, but Twilight told him it was too soon and he needs to focus on being a serious warrior more. Goldpaw also had a really weird dream. I'm going to confirm right now it's some Dark Forest stuff. Silencer is not happy and is actively trying to get into the head of other cats. Unfortunately, Weedheart swept the vision aside and lectured to Goldpaw about responsibilities to wake up on time, so good luck to Goldpaw because he really needs it. Now finally we have a big cat I've been alluding to all along, Trickle Shadow, a 120 moon old faithful male and an excellent fighter. Currently, Trickle Shadow is lost and has been missing for more than 8 moons due to another 2-leg trap. He was trying to investigate the trap and gather information about whether or not Emerald was alive, and the 2 legs captured him, which is sad considering he had a crush going on with Tawny Dusk, but they had a falling out right before he was captured. Trickle Shadow was the 3rd cat to witness Twilight Star's murder, as he viewed it as beneficial for the clan. Even though he wasn't fond of Twilight Star, he was willing to wait and see how things played out. Throughout the year, he's been thinking of ways to use information to help the rest of his clan and get a bit of power to himself, as his loyalty and faith was primarily to his clan, more so than StarClan, so he's always cared less about when it comes to what the leader says. And Twilight and his many blunders have only reinforced his views. A fight between him, Twilight Star, and Honey Ember took place on the 5th moon after Trickle Shadow became dissatisfied with how Twilight was handling Emerald Paw's capture. Twilight argued they searched a whole moon and a half without finding a trace, and it was time to focus more on catching prey and strengthening the remaining cat. Trickle Shadow chastised Twilight Star for giving up, and smugly hinted at what Twilight Star had done, saying of course a cat like him would know nothing about loyalty. This greatly alarmed Twilight Star, leading to a battle that left every cat fearful. All 3 cats got scarred from this. Trickle Shadow suffered the most, with Twilight Star going for his face, damaging his eye using a Dark Force move, while Honey Ember got scarred up his rump. Honey Ember got the scar on his face, and Twilight got the matching rump scar. Following this event, Honey Ember and Trickle Shadow both grew to like Twilight Story way less, but Trickle and Honey still don't like each other. Trickle thinks a warrior should be loyal to one's clan, and Honey thinks a warrior should be loyal to Star Clan. And they fight over this quite a bit, and when Trickle Shadow comes back, it's for sure to bring drama, and I am here for it. And with Trickle Shadow done, that concludes year 1 of WeaselClan. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've already have year 2 planned, and I'm deeply connected to these cats. I'm excited to see where their journey unfolds. Tell me what you think. I'm always interested in hearing your feedback about my work. And with this done, goodbye. I hope you have a great day.